Just a few announcements before the service begins. The church will be holding the Socks and Undies Drive again this year, thanks to Holly Tangway. It'll benefit participants of the programs at Pathways for Children and LifeBridge. Last year's drive was a big success, thanks to Holly, and the efforts of many of you as well. We're hoping for an even better collection this year, and so help is needed, not just for donations, but also for a variety of hands-on tasks, from publicity to sorting and counting. So if you want to help in any way, and help is needed, please contact Holly Tangway. Holly, do you want to stand up? You all know Holly, actually. The Gloucester Meeting House Foundation will be proudly presenting an evening at the Cafe House here at the church, orchestral works by Johann Sebastian Bach, on May 21st at 8 p.m. And you will find flyers in the entry house. So we invite and encourage you to take flyers to post and to keep for your own reference. And we also, of course, hope you'll attend on May 21st. Each week our service is live streamed on YouTube. We're so glad that people can join us from home who can't be here in person. If you are participating on YouTube, you're encouraged to take a minute now to get a candle and matches ready to join us in a few minutes when we light the chalice here after the service starts. For more information on church goings-on, we would like to remind you, all of you, that when you receive the church's weekly announcements in your email each Friday, it is worth taking just a few minutes to read the announcements to keep up to date on life in our church. Finally, as our minister, Reverend Janet Parsons, has begun her well-earned 3-month sabbatical, this summer our pulpit is going to be filled by guest preachers or by members of our own congregation. And this morning, it is a real pleasure to welcome our friend and neighbor, Reverend Susan Moran, who leads the Rockport UU Church. We're so happy that you are here to lead our service today.
I'm not used to not being able to see the musician. Are you done? Good morning and welcome to the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church. It's wonderful to see people in the pews, and welcome also to those who are watching from home. I understand that desire. Between the increase in COVID cases and the comfort of listening in your pajamas, it's hard some Sundays, I know. So let's hear the words of a beloved colleague and friend, the late Reverend Mary J. Harrington. We come together today in praise and thanksgiving for the gift of life itself. Someone gave birth to us, and some of us have given birth. All of us have been mothered in our time. Let our time today be one of recognition that we arrive from so many places: joy and delight, wistfulness and longing and worry, unmet needs and unfulfilled dreams, loss and sorrow, loss and emptiness, loss and regret. All that life is made of, mothers are made of too. We sing the songs of so many mothers who are single parents, foster parents, mothers who relinquished their young out of necessity, mothers who found their heart in adoptions, mothers who left their children in 1,000 ways, mothers who rejoice and mothers who mourn. Let us sing the songs of the grandmother, the auntie, the Sunday school teacher, the babysitter, the neighbor with endless cookies and time. There is a kind of love we cannot live without. It is never too late, no matter our age or situation. We sing a song of gratitude for all the moments of being known, of being cherished, of being found. Let us worship today in praise and thanksgiving. And in that attitude and mood, let us rise as we are willing and able to sing "This Is My Song," number 159 in this hymnal. seated. Thank you, choir. Lucille, why don't you light the chalice as we hear the words of Melanie Davis, which I've adapted somewhat. As we light our chalice, let us imagine ourselves spreading a spark of hope, a flame of love, a light of peace, and a flame of justice. May it be so. And let's say the words printed in your order of service together, the unison affirmation. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. And we'll light a peace candle not only for Ukraine, of course, but for Havana, where a hotel just blew up due to a faulty wiring with the gas. And I'd also like to send peace to our Supreme Court, who have some very important decisions to make. I have to confess, I don't know when I wrote this prayer, but it's called Mother's Day Prayer, so I thought it would be appropriate. So let's make sure our heads and feet are in the same building. Let's take a deep breath in and out. And you can please keep doing that. Don't forget to breathe. After this prayer, we'll sit in silence. May God bless the mothers who truly are the wind beneath their children's wings, the ones who are present and kind and sensitive to their children's needs. And may the spirit of all that is good and true bless the mothers who are really awful, the ones who are addicted to drugs or booze or shopping or tennis, the mothers who neglect their children, who forget that their children came into the world at their invitation and yet cannot take care of them. Oh, love, bless the aunts and grandmas, neighbors and godparents, chosen women whose love and care have mothered many children. Spirit of creation, bless the women who wanted to be mothers but could not. Bless the mothers who did not want to have another child but gave birth anyway and who loved that child no less than the others. God bless the woman giving birth right now in the hospital, in the field, in the birthing tent, in the war-torn country, in the special bed at home. Spirit of life and love, bless those mothers whose children are lost to them through death or desertion, struck down early by disease or murder or dire poverty. God bless the woman who has just learned she is pregnant with a child she has wanted for years. And God bless the mother who made the choice to give her child a better life by giving them away. 20 years later, still misses them. Spirit of all that we hold most dear, bless every mother who lives now or ever. May we hold all of the mothers of the world in our hearts and mind. And most importantly, may we learn to show every child that they are a miracle, that they are worthy of love. Let us sit in the silence together and ponder all of the mother love we have received. Amen. Blessed be. Mother's Day was not always the holiday it is now. Hallmark greeting cards and candy. Mother's Day has its roots in England, when a day was set aside for honoring mothers. But when it traveled to this country, Julia Ward Howe envisioned Mother's Day as the day for women from all over the world to meet and try and figure out how to achieve peace. They would also convene as mothers, keeping in mind the duty of protecting their children. She wrote this manifesto: "Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have the great questions decided by irrelevant agencies, Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family may live in peace. So ends our reading.
To support this church and all of its ministries, this morning's offering will now be gratefully received. Blessings upon the givers and upon your gifts.
We don't sing a doxology here? Okay. Just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So it's time for me to preach now? Just checking. Against the backdrop of what I like to call reality, Julia Ward Howe's declaration, not to mention our sixth principle, seems audacious and bold. Just in case it has slipped your mind, our sixth principle affirms the goal of world community with peace, liberty, justice for all. A colleague says the sixth principle seems extravagant in its hopefulness and improbable in its prospects. Can we continue to say we want world community? The world is full of genocide, abuse, terror, and war. What have we gotten ourselves into? The Reverend Sean Dennison says, as naive or impossible as the sixth principle may seem, I'm not willing to give up on it. In the face of our culture's apathy and fear, I want to imagine and help create a powerful vision of peace. I too, as a mother and a minister, want to imagine and help create a powerful vision of peace. But I have learned to start small. In fact, I begin and end small. If we want world peace, we need peace in our countries. And if we want peace in our country, we need peace in our states or our regions. And if we want peace in Massachusetts, well, we better find peace in Essex County first. And if we want peace in Essex County, well, we're probably going to need peace in Gloucester. If we want peace in Gloucester, we better have peace in the neighborhoods. And if we want peace in our neighborhoods, we better have peace in each home that creates those neighborhoods. And if we want peace in our homes, we have to have peace within ourselves. No kicking the dog. No yelling at the child who happens to be home, or the spouse. If we want world peace, we need peace within our own selves. I'm not sure Julia Ward Howe understood this, but it has been my experience and observation there will be no peace in the world, or anywhere else for that matter, until people are at peace with their own selves. So how do we do that? How do we stop the conflicted feelings and thoughts, the warring anger and resentment, the desire for revenge and power? And I'm not just talking about mothers. Remember Sister Simone Campbell, also called the nun on the bus? She describes a trio of human desires that everyone shares, even if you're not a mother. Number one, we need to feel we are making a difference in the world. Number two, we need to feel that we can take care of our families. And three, we need to feel that we have a chance to be who we are called to be. Those are the nun on the bus's suggestions for how to attain inner peace. You feel like you're making a difference, you can take care of the people you love, and you have the ability to come to your highest potential. Everyone needs to feel useful. Making a difference in the world starts with making a difference at home. It doesn't matter if you're a toddler or a wheelchair-bound 97-year-old, every single person wants a purpose. The toddler will help you with anything. The toddler will clean the toilets. Some parents take this too far, as when my friend Pammy's mother sent Pammy's 3-year-old brother into downtown Newton to buy some bread. The boy was returned home by a policeman who did not think it was appropriate that a 3-year-old should be wandering around in Newton by himself. By the way, this was in the 1940s. Pam's mother wasn't hearing any of it and bragged that Mikey not only bought the bread, but bought back the right change. My children were not sent into downtown Newton when they were 3, but they were taught skills so that they could be competent in the world, but also so that they could feel competent. It's much easier to praise someone else's achievements if you have some to call your own. It is hard to make a difference in this world if you've never been taught discipline and the joy of hard work. That's a tough one, the joy of hard work. But I believe people who are able to work hard are in the end happier than those who cannot. Everyone needs to feel useful and skilled for peace to prevail. Now, I have watched some people lose their abilities over time, and there is little sadder in this life than realizing something that you used to be able to do is no longer possible. I remember when a hip surgeon told me I couldn't run anymore. I wanted to hug him. I was so relieved because I hate running. But I was not happy to hear I could only play tennis with very old people, doubles only. I was not happy to hear my skiing days are over. I remember an 87-year-old friend crying because he couldn't put up his own storm windows anymore. He was too scared to go up the ladder. My own father sold his beloved sailboat because his 82-year-old legs couldn't support him anymore as he clambered up to the bow. I think my neighbor Eddie and my father made peace with their limitations, and luckily they found other projects and activities that delivered this sense of purpose. But a lot of the elders in our country are not so lucky. Elders in our country could make a huge difference in this community and others if we let them. We seem to have an inability to include so many of our elders in community. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of children who would be helped beyond measure, to be tutored, to be befriended, to be known by a surrogate grandparent. One of the most satisfying accomplishments of my ministry, years and years ago, I brought together a group of 5th graders with a group of elders with Alzheimer's. These folks could not remember what they ate for breakfast, not that I can, but they could tell these kids what their school had been like, what they did for fun in the 20s and the teens. The children were enchanted by the exchanges of information, and everyone felt important. We all need to feel useful. We all need to find purpose and a sense of mission in our lives. Without that, there will be no peace. Number 2 is that we need to take care of our families. I would submit that even the youngest child feels this obligation. I remember my daughter at 4 running to me saying, "Katie is crying and I even didn't hit her." Thank goodness that our culture no longer tries to protect children from ailing relatives or the reality of death. When my husband died, my children were at the memorial service for as long as they were comfortable, and nothing was off limits in terms of conversation. But I remember soon after my husband died having lunch with a colleague who told me that when his father died, he wasn't allowed to attend the service. It was felt he was too young to understand. My children understood all too well. There are people in war-torn countries, refugees in countries not their own, who watch helplessly as their children get sick and die. The inability to care for one's family because of poverty or oppression leaves lasting scars. Almost everyone wants to be part of a family, and almost everyone wants that family to thrive. How many people are in this country today working and sending money home to their families? How many of these people are undocumented? Shall we give them opportunity to become citizens? Shall we help them with their families? Shall we help them add to our nation's wealth? Or shall we send them back to a place they left for good reason? Yes, there are abuses in all systems, but we must respect this desire to take care of one's family. We must respect and encourage this human instinct to want things to be better for our children than it is for us. The third foundation for peace, according to Sister Simone Campbell, is the opportunity to be all you are supposed to be. Christian theologian Frederick Buechner would describe this as the intersection of the world's need with your passion. How can anyone feel at peace knowing they're doing something they hate, that doesn't engage them, that doesn't suit them, that doesn't fit them? How can anyone be at peace knowing they are doing the wrong thing? I had a few months of that. I worked for a real estate developer. I had a friend whose father said that's why I went to seminary, to make up for working for the devil. But every morning for months, I dragged myself down the street and shuffled into the office, determined to keep my head up and to not lie to the banks we were borrowing from. I read a lot of Psalms in those months. I survived that period, but no one would have said I was peaceful. You cannot be at peace when you're operating against your own conscience. No one is at peace when they know they are doing less than what they are capable. And you can't be at peace when you're doing more than you should be doing either, when you know you're over your head and you cannot, for whatever reason, ask for help. Here's something that Sister Simone Campbell said at a recent General Assembly. If you walk towards community, we become deeply aware of the truth that we're in this together, that we are not separate, that there is no discernible difference when you get right down to it. We may have different stories to tell, but it's the same hunger, the same desire, the same passion to make a difference in our world, to care for our family, to be who we are called to be. World community with peace and liberty will have no chance ever of being achieved without this sense that we are all in this together. And clearly, if you've read the news, as I have, I don't think we're quite there yet. One last important point People don't seem to understand that peace is not the same as stasis. The title of my sermon is from the hymn we're going to sing, Peace Like a River. Well, rivers are usually moving. The smallest bird landing on a river stone will send ripples across the surface. Peace is not stillness. Peace is flow and movement, dynamism and change. Nothing stays the same, as you know. You cannot put your foot in the same river twice. But peace is a deep knowing, right down to your bones, that despite all the changes, we are still important to the people in our world. We are useful. We are able to take care of our children and those we love. And we are able to have a chance to achieve our goals for ourselves. On a larger scale, this looks like people being allowed to vote their conscience to elect leaders, people living under a rule of law that was enacted fairly and implemented consistently. It means universal education. This is no time to hang our heads and cry. The cliche to think globally but act locally has never been more important. Please be engaged in local politics, as odious as those meetings can be sometimes. I can tell some of you have been to some of your meetings. Yes. We should be involved in movements toward racial justice, climate change solutions, gender justice, and of course, we should be supporting the mothers. Mothers are peacekeepers and parachuters and chauffeurs and cooks and cleaners and educators and nurses and muses and so many other roles. Let mothers have some peace today, and may all of us carry peace in our hearts, today and every day. May it be so. Amen. Let's rise as we are willing and able and sing our closing hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River, number 100 in your gray hymnal. Our closing words are written by Diane Ackerman, the wonderful naturalist writer. In the name of daybreak and the eyelids of the morning and the wayfaring moon and the night when it departs, I swear I will not dishonor my soul with hatred, but offer myself humbly as a guardian of nature, as a healer of misery, as a messenger of wonder, as an architect of peace. And now we'll extinguish our chalice and say the words from your order of service together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.